Pleasant good morning. Well, it's actually midday in Ghana. Good morning in the Eastern Standard Time. So welcome to this Monday's episode, this holiday episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome one and all. I hope you had a pleasant weekend. I hope those of you who went out on the Mash Parade yesterday had a wonderful time. And today is the official holiday for Mashramani. So happy Mashramani to all my Guyanese brothers and sisters. And for you who may not be familiar with the word Mashramani, it's Guyanese. We celebrating or we observe. I shouldn't say celebrate because some of us did not. We observed our 55th Republican status, the anniversary yesterday, the 23rd of February, 2025. Guyana became a republic on the 23rd of February 1970. So we observe that holiday, and it's Guyana Carnival. Call it Mashramani. They say Mashramani is a Amerindian word, the original people word for celebration after the harvest. I think that is what is said. So happy Mashramani to all those who, all the Guyanese, all my Guyanese brothers and sisters. And for those of you who are not Guyanese and celebrate with us, we thank you for observing with us. So yes, today is the 24th day of February 2025, and in Guyana is a public holiday. See, Guyana, we are fortunate in that when the holiday falls on the Sunday, you get to celebrate it on the Monday after. So you had yesterday, and I think it was a good thing that they had the parade, the Mash Float parade yesterday. So all of those revelers would have had the opportunity to relax today and recuperate and be able to be productive from tomorrow. So welcome. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. Many would not have been this fortunate. So as we continue to say, every day you get up, give praise, give thanks to the Almighty for allowing you the privilege of being in the land of the living. So welcome. And I got to share the live, and give us a thumbs up. But we have about 500 students already in the class. 12 thumbs up. Not good enough. The program was scheduled, 6:59 this morning. I beat it by a minute, 6:59. And immediately some students were in the schoolyard. Immediately. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. As I've indicated before, I try to schedule a program at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every program day. And some students have been able to master the art. As soon as the school gate is open, they are into the schoolyard. And of course, once we go live, then they flock into the classroom. So welcome. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is here. Ready and willing, as usual, for us to get it on. I must say to you, I must remind you, we had a program on Friday. There was no program on Wednesday because I told you all I had other things. I traveled. And on Friday, we had a special 4 o'clock Guyana time, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Friday afternoon. I got a lot of feedback. People thank us. And first of all, I was pleasantly surprised at the number of students in the classroom, given that it was a Friday and it was an unscheduled arrangement. I know we come to you Mondays and Wednesdays, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and in between, we tell you to subscribe to the channel, follow us on Facebook, so that when we have these programs or we have these classes outside of the usual time, you will get the notification and you will be able to join us and to share and to be a part of this informative session. People have been saying, and some of the comments here you will see, that perhaps this is the most informative program coming out of Guyana. I mean, we take pride in bringing you valuable, credible information. We take pride in our credibility, unlike many others who just come and spew a lot of nonsense. We take a lot of time to make sure that whatever we bring to you, it is credible, and therefore we do the research, and we invite you to, that when we say things, you too can go and check out the validity of what we have said. So yes, so thank you for being here this morning. Share the live, let them know that we are on. And as I say, happy Mashramani to all of you. And before I go any further, I want to thank that student. A student called me on Friday while I was driving on my way to attend court. And he prayed for like about, I think, 6 or 7 minutes. He prayed for me on Friday. I thank you very much, student, for doing that. And I know many have reached out to me to say that they have me in their prayers. They go to the church, they pray, they have the prayer group. Some call themselves prayer warriors, and they pray for me. They pray for speaking out, and we appreciate that very much. I appreciate that very, very much. And prayers are going to be answered. Your prayers are going to be answered because you are genuine. And once you're genuine in your prayers, it's going to be answered. So let me move on to the roll call. And after the roll call, I'll do the announcements. We have a few announcements to make. And then I'll invite my colleague, Mr. Conway, to join me in this. He's in the studio already, but to join me on the live. As I said, first student in this morning, Tessa from Orlando. She came in at 6:59. Also, Peter came in at the same time. Shortly after, we had Sean at 7 o'clock, and Leon, the Conor Rookman, Mary, Courtney, Winston from California, Ezzy, Orin from the UK, Brian, Gaston, my squad mate from Canada, Raul 11752 is here with us, Evelyn, Kenneth Kenneth is from Maryland, Charles, my squad mate, BX 9407 Buxton was here very early, Haslin, I can't recall seeing this student before. Welcome. Marlon is here. Clifton 9339 Pastor Smith is in the house. Carl Vibart 7464. Then we had Patricia. Patricia, I understand that you and others were at the court and at the courtroom, or not the room, in the courtyard on Friday. But unfortunately, the matter is done in camera. So people cannot come into the courtroom to listen and to hear what is going on. But I appreciate the support from all those who were there on Friday. Bonita, then we had Aubrey, Rhonda, Anthony, the man from Peters Hall, Vibert, Marcus, Tom Cat is here with us, Puran from Essequibo Coast, Glendis, Desiree from Georgia, Ulrich from West Dem, Carlton, my squad mate from New York, Marcus, Karen, Earl is here, Russ Ricardo is here as well, Jacko from Georgia, John, Terrence is here, TK, this is Terrence Young, 9795, Joan from New Amsterdam, Albert says his number is 0892, Michael from Imbaimadai is always here now, Elton, Annette, Wayne, Salima, 17488 is here. Yonette, John is here. John from Tennessee. John Dorette is here. Princess Earl from Lamar Springs, 6123. Phil, Walterine, Colin from Queens. Carl, my squad mate from Arizona, 9414 is here. Marcia, Diane, Kerry Kerry's in Baltimore, Maryland. Anthony, Emerson, Forbes, Pito, 8152 from Queens, Leon, Aileen, I show you enjoying the cricket, man. You enjoying the cricket. We're going to talk about that a little in a short while. Magnell, Lance, Umi is here, Malcolm, Emerson, Adrian is here, Marva, then it was Pauline, Roxanne, Tisha, Barbara, Sandra, Nigel, Felicia, the Pepper Goat is here with us. Fergus, Valerie, Kevin is here in class. Anthony, Rudolph, I can't recall seeing Rudolph before. Welcome if you're a first-time student commenting. Everett is here. Maureen, Boo, Alexander, Tilula, Clive from the UK is here with us. David, Monica, Machu, Clay, Dwayne, Compton, Hazel, Junior, Mark, Henrik, Floyd, Cecile, Gavin J. Key from Maryland. Sheena Stefan is here, 12443. Camille Rayburn is here with us, 10079. Ulrich, my squad mate, 9555 is here. Norbert Keith from Barbados is here with us. Sharwin Delan Danny, 9731 is here. Arhal Moses Sandrine is here. Carlisle George, 8727. Brennan got a rough time to get on this morning, but eventually did. Grantley, Lorraine, then it was Denise, the secretary, Troy, Lester, Lyndon, Cranston, 15837, Maxwell, 11704, Trevor, Francis Keith, Gary, Lucius is here with us, Pauline, Jason, Errol, Siobhan, Vernon, John, my friend, my shooting buddy, Gordon is here, 6659, 6659, Collins, I remember 6660 was Joris, the boxer. Denise is here, still in GT, R. Crawford, Vivian, Enola, Rastaman, Melville, Terrence, then it was Alistair, 11498, Old Police, Keon, then it was Colin, Floyd, my friend Bangalang is here with us. Then we have Lennox, Audrey from Maryland is here, Sean, Nico, Pamela, West Dem, Farina, BV Man, Ezekiah is here with us, Ivor, Abera, Marcia, Esla, Double X is here. Cedric, Danny is here, 8219 is here with us. Mali, then it was Travis. After Travis, it was Sean, Kwame being the last person in the schoolyard. And then he has taken back his number one position in the classroom. Edward is here. Then we have Clifton too from Paris is here with us. Abu from Essequibo Coast. Yolanda is here. Then we have Jermaine, Carlton Popo, and the list goes on and on and on. Rosie is here. Then Evangeline and a lot of students in the classroom. Welcome. We must appreciate your attendance. Much appreciate your attendance. And I'm sure you're attending frequently because you are learning. But I make the announcements. We start with the sad announcement of these passings. Then we're going to move on to the happier ones. But we have a passing which took place some time ago. Former Traffic Inspector Joseph Raghunandan. He passed a few weeks ago and he was buried on Tuesday the 18th. And the word came late, so we are announcing that now. I think Raghunandan was CC Squaddy. I got a strong suspicion his number was 90, 83 or 80 something. I remember that, Raghunandan. He was at the licensing and certifying office in Brigdam for a long while. I remember Raghunandan very well. Then we have the death of ex-sergeant 8155 Philip Ross. Word came to hand that Philip Ross, ex-sergeant 8155, died recently. Then we have the death by drowning of the police lance corporal Jermaine Batson. We're going to talk about that a little bit more as in the program. But the lance corporal died by drowning in the Cayenne River recently. And today, if you read today's Starbrook News editorial, they dedicated a portion of that editorial to this same issue, and we're going to address that a little later. Then we also have the death of, not a fund, but the older people like me, Porcy, and we remember CC, Pauline Elaine Thomas, better known as Auntie Comcy. Those of us grew up in the 70s and perhaps even in the 80s will recall Auntie Comcy on the radio and on plays and on the Theatre Guild and all of those places. Very colorful and entertaining character. So she celebrated her 104th, she died on the 22nd, celebrated her 104th birthday on Saturday the 8th. 104. Auntie Comcy has transitioned. Then only this morning, only a few minutes ago, as I was preparing to come on, they got breaking news that of the death of Roberta Flack, the acclaimed singer, Roberta Flack. I remember Roberta Flack for Killing Me Softly with this song. and then she sang some duet with Don Yataway, Roberto Flack on Don Yataway. So the word just came, it's just breaking news within the past half an hour or so that Roberto Flack transitioned. Beautiful songs, Roberto Flack. And when I say Roberto Flack, CC One is squaddy, we name him after, that was his call name, Roberto Flack, 1972, Keith McDonald. That's why he said he should kill them softly with his song. So we named him in the TSU back in the day, in the 70s, Roberto Flack. And even now, whenever I see him on anything, Roberto, I refer to him as Roberto. So yeah, Roberto Flack passed away. And I want to take this opportunity to express condolences to all those, the relatives, friends, and colleagues of all those persons who passed. A special condolences to the members of the police force and a colleague, the Lance Corporal Boston, who passed. He was on duty, and the boat, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, the boat sank and he died. I also should announce we learned that the Pope Francis is critically ill. Word came over the weekend that Pope Francis is critically ill. So all of us, I'm sure, will want to offer a prayer for the Pope. So we want to offer a prayer to the Pope. And of course to the grieving relatives and friends of those who have passed. In terms of birthday, we don't have any birthday I know of today to announce, but we have some belated birthdays. Yesterday was the birth anniversary of retired Assistant Commissioner Marlon Chapman. Marlon, my friend. We called and we talked a bit. Congratulations. Marlon he was proud to tell me that he observed his 60th birthday yesterday. So I told him he's now in the NIS league. He can go and get the NIS pension. And he told me he did make the arrangement to make sure that he can get his NIS pension. And we also had the birth anniversary recently of retired Woman Assistant Commissioner Leona Gilks. Leona Gilks celebrated, I think it was her 80th or 80, what was it? Something like that, birth anniversary recently. And I remember Ms. Gilks as being there at the Commissioner's office, Henry Fraser, a confidential secretary like Barker, and she was there as a secretary. And then we have former Superintendent Ignatius Brown, also celebrated a birthday, 90-something, 93 or something like that recently. He has, I think he's challenged now with his sight. He is visually impaired, and he celebrated a birthday recently. Also celebrating recently was another squad mate of CC, Vibert Ramsey. Vibert celebrated recently, and also celebrating recently retired Senior Superintendent Whitney Bacchus. Spent some time at the Presidential Guard and the TSU. Whitney celebrated a birth anniversary recently. And in terms of looking forward, I want to, we have advanced birthday greetings. I'm not sure if he's on the live. I didn't call his name. But Ridley Angel, the Angel is celebrating tomorrow a birth anniversary. So I want to congratulate all those who have celebrated, who are celebrating today, because I suspect that there are people celebrating today and that we might not have announced, those who celebrated recently and those who will be celebrating in the near future. And before I bring in CC, I just want to say, we come with credible, valuable, accurate information. I think sometime last week we announced that the woman sergeant, Laverne Jack, had proceeded on pre-retirement leave. Well, I was advised that is not true. She has not proceeded on retirement leave. She's still on the job. She's due to retire in a few months' time, so I don't know whether there was a mistake in the computation of the leave or not. So I just wanted to make that correction before I bring in Mr. Conway. CC, welcome.
Morning to all. Praise the Lord. We're in the land of the living to do God's work. Congratulations to all those persons who celebrated their birthdays. And I want to shout out to Ignatius Borchel Brown. I think he's 90-something he celebrated. And I remember Mr. Brown very well, because when I got transferred from the East Coast, I went to Maburumo, and he was the OC. And I recall also there's an event that changed my life, that I got promoted on the 1st of July 1978, and Brown took the glory that I got promoted under him. I remember it was a Saturday morning, a radio message came in that 1927 Constable Conway got promoted to corporal. And the afternoon, a message came that I must travel out on the next flight to see the commando in Georgetown. And I went and make sure that I was properly attired, make sure that the stripe was properly worn. And I went in and he had a good look at me, he stared at me. He said, he was an assistant commissioner. He said, you wanted to know why I sent for you? I said, yes. He said, well, let me tell you something. I promoted you and I don't know what you look like. And then he tell me the story. He said after they had wanted to promote a set of people and they had dig out and scratch out, as the case may be, they had vacancy for 5 more. And the then Deputy Commissioner Crandon, who had worked with on the East Coast, said, let me get a list of the persons who passed the promotion exam but were not recommended and who have good records. And when he looked at the list, he said, yes, they got a good guy named Conway. He used to work with me in the East Coast. Very, very decent guy. Used to make a lot of cases. I understand he's somewhere in the interior, maybe the Northwest. And then my commander, who didn't know me, because Crandon was talking before a man in the interior, said, oh yes, very good boy. Very, 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 very good boy. Very excellent boy. And they say, okay. And they promoted me. And there and then I made a decision. I said, one, I must not be like that commando that I would promote people later in my service and I don't want to know what they look like. And also, I must be commander F Division. And as fate would have it, I later became commander F Division. And I make sure I serve as subordinate officer and as commander, I make sure that I know all my men them. You call a station, you call a man, and I could tell you something about it. I know all my men inside, out. I make sure I did that. And I then recall even Henry Green too, when he did the last man to hold what I call notified inspection. I think it's in standing order number 11. And after the inspection, we were having a drink. And he told me something. And he said, Conway, let me tell you something. The workers, the men and the us don't give their all. They're always keeping back something. But if you pay some more interest and attention to them, they'll give you some of the little bit that they're holding back there. And this is where you want to spark. So I make sure that in my service in dealing with the men, I make sure that I pay interest and attention to them so that you have the little extra that they're holding back from you. And also I make sure that I knew all my men. Don't mind with the station. When I was commander F Division, we had, I think, 37 stations, and I knew all the men in those 37 stations. So when the commander congratulated me on my promotion, and he said he promoted me, and he don't know what I look like, I remember that, and that was a game changer for me. I said, I got to make sure that I know all my men, and there's a word I want to spread to those commanders, those subordinate officers, those subordinate officers. Make sure you know your men inside out, and also make sure that you pay a little more interest in and attention to them, so the little bit that they holding back, they'll give you a little bit of that little bit that they holding back, so that will make you sparkle.
Yeah, well said, my brother. Well said. You got to know the people. As I told you all in this program, when I was at the TSU, I knew the number of every single person who was a name of every single person who was stationed at the TSU. I know them inside out, every single one. Right? So, very good thing. One of the students is saying here that tomorrow is our birthday. Sandra saying that tomorrow is our birthday. So I want to say congratulations to Sandra in advance. Congratulations to Sandra. Share the life, continue to share the life. We now getting warm up, Aileen and some cricketers, Jakey and Jacko and all of these guys are here. Champion Trophy is on its way. We have the Champion Trophy playing in Pakistan and Dubai. And I look, the match on Saturday, England and Australia. I got up early and I saw every single ball. I said, this is going to be a real battle. And that is what it turned out. Australia was able to chase down 352. 352, right? Man, let me see. The cricket at its best. After then, yesterday, fizzled with Pakistan and India, and today, New Zealand and Bangladesh. I think there was much, even before you had Pakistan, Pakistan playing New Zealand. But yet, the Saturday game, I think for me, it was the best game so far. England batted first. At one stage, I said they're going to make close to 400. But they faltered in the end, and that cost them. They were out. They ended up with 352, and Australia chased that down with ease. They chased it down with ease. So let's continue to watch us cricket fans and see what's going on here. In terms of the dress that the students are commenting on, remember I said we're still into Black History Month, you know. February month is Black History Month. So therefore, we are wearing our African attire. We are wearing our African attire, Black History Month. Now, let me go on to tell you, as we move on, the ranks, CC, UWORK, Guy Expo, CPL, and Global T20, they're still complaining that have not been paid. And they are saying now that the Minister of Culture, Youth, and Sport, Charles Ramsey Jr., is alleged to have said, well, it's duty there and it's not extra duty. So even though the tradition has been all the years, I know, because I ran the thing for a number of years, the ranks work because they work long hours. So they are compensated extra duty. All over the Caribbean, that happens. The only place I recall where what happens in Dominica, the government will pay for the 8 hours, which is a regular tour of duty, and then the cricket authorities will pay for the whatever extra hours they work, but the ranks are always all over. But Guyana decide now that these ranks is police duty they are, and therefore they cannot be considered as extra duty, and therefore they are not going to be paid. Up to now, they ain't get paid. Up to now. It's unreasonable. People have said early in the morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, they have to leave home to get there on time at the Providence Stadium. Sometime by the time the final briefing finish after the game, 10, 11 o'clock in the night, before they leave, they get to home and to get back the next day. Talking about women with children, men with responsibility, and that is what they're doing to the people. And they want to know why members of the force are so demoralized. That is what they want to know. Why? This is one of the reasons why. Now, the next, CC, I'm sure you'll want to say something about that. Let me give you the opportunity to make a comment on that act by the not paying the police.
Yeah, I remember, and I recall that issue with Kashif and Shanghai. They used to have the big football thing in London there, and they didn't want to pay. And I said, no payment, no football. And I said, unless you pay up before and long in advance, I am not going to supply any police to go there. We'll say what happened will happen. And then they quickly go on and pay up the money. If the police work the extra duty, they must be paid because there's business going on. People making a whole lot of money on the cricket. And they must be paid. And no minister mustn't come and say that they changed things. That is police duty. They must be paid this extra duty, and we must ensure that the people get their money. That's how I used to operate.
Yeah, let me tell you, when I was in Barbies, when I got to Barbies as a commander, a certain man applied for permission to hold some sport. And the people told me, the ranks they tell me, say, Chief, you're going to get a difficult time for people to go and work. I said, why? They said, because this man don't pay. He just all these activities, and then at the end of the day, he cried that he didn't, he bossed the show boss. And I said, all right, I can deal with it. I come from Georgetown. I come from it, not Georgetown at the time. I say I came from places, and I know TSU, extra duty, I know what to do. Somebody came to make the permission and to the thing. I made it clear that you have to lodge the money before the show. If the money is not lodged, permission will not be granted for the thing. You jump around, get politicians involved and so on. And say, all right, if politicians want to get involved, let them come and detail the ranks. Let them come and detail the ranks, because I am not going to send the policemen there to work And then at the end of the day, you hear that the promoter telling you that the boss, well, the boss ain't got nothing to do with me. The people who are there working, and they're not responsible for the show bossing. So he pay up. He pay up. Of course, he jump around, he run out of the place, he pay up. Pay up. You got to stand strong. That's what you have to have as commanders, strong people. I remember when I was in A Division 2, I put together a protocol for people who want to apply for these big shows and so on. Because when I came down to town from Barbies, the first show they had at National Park, big chaos, man shooting up gun in the air and all. So I think I was caught unawares. And therefore, I sat down and I designed a protocol which was circulated to all and sundry. First of all, you can't be advertising for a show and you have not received the permission from the police. So I tell you, first thing you have to do, seek permission from the police, seek permission from the court and these places. And when you get permission, then you can advertise. I'm not going to rubber stamp anything. So you advertising a show, and then afterward, after you start advertising, then you're going to come to me, the commander, for permission. I said, no, it can't work like that. It is not going to work like that. So there was this set of people who made an application for a show at Starlight Drive-In on the East Coast. They said they wanted the show, Starlight Drive-In. Well, they came to me and we sent them to Commander C Division. It was under C Division. Now, I don't know what happened, but at the last moment, within the last week or so, they decided that they want to change venue and they want to bring the show, I think now was to GCC Ground Border. So I told them, one, this thing is too late. I can't give permission, right? Not at this late stage, right? And then we had an issue with Senior Counsel Rex McKay, who lived in the area and who had actually gone to court to prevent things from happening at this place because they used to block up the entrance, ask at nights and all that. I said, sorry, permission would not be granted because of so. I explained to them. I had my morning meeting. They came there in front of all the officers. I explained to them. And they left, and I felt that they understood. The next morning, they came back to ask me if they came in respect to the same thing, asked if the minister called me, or if the minister spoke with me. I said, what are you all talking about? Oh, they went to Minister Roy, Minister of Affairs, and he said he will talk to me. So I said, well, he didn't talk to me. And I said, let me tell you all something, right? I have already told you that this show can't take place within this short space of time. We have a protocol. You have to follow this protocol. They left and they went back to Roy. Next thing I hear word that Roy get somebody for text statement from them for Senator White. I was disrespectful to him and I said, yes, all right, I wait him. It's not now they're fighting with me, not now. So I think the same day or shortly after, I went to a meeting. Green was the commissioner. The regular meeting. When the meeting was finished, he said to me that he wanted to talk to me after the meeting. I said, yeah. All right. I sat there telling that the minister called and the minister tell you about the same thing. And so I said, well, yeah, we have a protocol. You're aware of the protocol. And I am not going to grant permission. He tried to dance and tried to persuade me that I should give permission, because I said, let me tell you something. You are the commissioner of police, right? If you want, you can grant them permission. But if you grant them permission, please make sure that you make all the arrangements for this show. I don't want to be disrespectful, but we have a protocol and we must follow the protocol. I said, I can't stop you from giving permission as a commissioner, but I am not going to be involved in this. The bottom line is that the show did not come off. The show did not come off. That's the bottom line. So commanders, you have to stand strong. And the protocol that I designed is there because the same it's and jumps people and all them everything. They knew of it. I can't remember. We had a meeting with by that time it was this man, Frank Anthony, called a meeting to discuss all of these things, and I made it clear what was the police position. I was not going to be persuaded by anyone to allow anybody to violate the permission. You had a situation where men go in all them show enough gun shooting and all this everything. And I sat down, and I'm sure those things are somewhere there in the system. But the people that you have there now running the show, they don't know and they don't look, and they're just that. They're just that. Now, before I bring Mr. Conway in, let me say to you, I should have said this before. Friday, I went to court. The police corporate propaganda unit Thursday night. Some of you would have been here on Friday afternoon when we had the special. I would have briefed you. But for those of you who are not, let me run through it quickly. I came into Guyana to attend court on the 21st of February, 2021. I had an option from the court to attend virtually, because at the last hearing on the 28th of January, one of my lawyers requested that I appear virtually, and that request was granted by the magistrate. I decided that I don't want to be no virtual when they're telling lies on me and so on. I come in there to face up to it. So I came in. Next thing you know, Thursday night, I see a release from the police that I am to be charged with some offense, and I'm to be arraigned on Friday and all of that. They come up with all sort of crap. So I turned up in court Friday, and the matter continued. The sexual assault charges against me continued. The complainant gave evidence, cross-examination started. That matter is adjourned to the 7th of March for continued cross-examination. Then I was advised, my lawyer then came to me and told me he has to take me over. He took me over to Brickdown to the commander. And a lot of to and fro. Eventually, they read a charge to me to say, I never hear about it. So anonymity of complainant, that's the charge. Anonymity of complainant under the Sexual Offences Act. They charged me on Friday. I was placed on $200,000 bail to go to court on Wednesday, Georgetown Magistrate Court. So that is in a nutshell what transpired. Of course, it is all intended to embarrass. They want to embarrass me. They want to shame me. But I have said it publicly on Friday for those of you who are not here. In relation to this matter and all of these allegations that they're making against me, false allegation, I have no shame. I can come out and tell you what it is. I will let you know exactly what it is. They're trying now to bankrupt me. Civil lawsuit. I got to be traveling in and out. Got to find money for bail. They're trying all sort of things. But look, let me tell you all. Let me quote. Let me find the quote. I'm going to quote where is it? I got it somewhere. Yeah. I'm going to quote U.C. Anderson. U.C. Anderson is a lawyer, and he wrote something. I think it was last week. He said, and I quote in a quote, "Let it be known to all and sundry that I fear not yesterday, not tomorrow, not today, not ever any creature known to man, irrespective of the office they hold. I am not possessed by a spirit of fear." Let me repeat that. Let it be known to all and sundry that I fear not yesterday, not tomorrow, not today, and not ever any creature known to man, irrespective of the office they hold. I am not possessed by a spirit of fear. That's U.C. Anderson said so. And I am saying the same thing. People have been telling me, why you're frightened. I got a squad mate. Some of you will know, some of you on the live. John Ames, he died last year, August, was found dead last year, August. And on the last occasion we spoke, about a week or two before he died, tell me, Squaddy, you got to be careful. Them people, when he said the people, the Indian, he said Indian and use a derogatory C word, they're going to kill you. I said, but Squaddy, I'm not afraid. He said, but you got to be careful. He kept telling me that all the time. And a lot of people have said to me, you got to be careful, because they just remind me that the government, the PPP people are accused. An allegation was made that they were complicit in the death of Waddle. We know Cromway, we know their own Minister Shah, and therefore people are cautioning me to be extremely careful. Let me say this. They ask me if I'm fear. I know there are two types of fear. Let me say it clearly. Two types of fear. They have the paralyzing fear. That's the fear that you talk about, the deer caught in the headlights of a car. And you know what happens? A deer crossing a road, the deer is caught in the headlights of a car, the deer becomes paralyzed. And the end result of that is that the deer is struck and killed. So you have that paralyzing fear. Then you have the fear of a trained person, trained intelligent person. I am that. Trained intelligent, so you know what precaution to take, how to respond to certain situations and so on. So I can't, you see, on this I fear no man. Fear God. Fear God. I fear no man, regardless of the position they hold. Whether them is president, whether them is vice president, whether them is prime minister, whether it's attorney general, whether it's a commissioner of police, whatever position they hold, I don't fear any one of them. I told people, and people know, I am not a lawbreaker. They are trying to concoct all sort of things to try to present the image that Slow is a criminal. Slow spent 37 years in the police force. Slow is well known to all and sundry. So they can't come and manufacture anything to change that. They're trying to sully my image. They got so far to engineer my contract with Cricket West Indies not being renewed in 2022. I have the evidence. That's how dirty they are. I'm a pensioner, so they get me trying to spend out all my little pension money and so on. But again, I say, I do not fear them. I do not fear them. Right? So we understand this thing clearly. I don't know, all the students and all praying for me. I thank you for your prayer, and prayer will prevail in the end. The truth will prevail. The truth. For all of those who call themselves religious, them are Christian, them are Muslim, them are Hindu, devout Hindus and Christian and all of that, and telling lies from people and sitting down and conspire to give people trouble. Y'all time coming. I told y'all when I got on my knees, it's to pray for y'all. When I got on my knees, I went down on my knees and I prayed for Brutus, Calvin Brutus. I prayed for him. I prayed that justice will be done, and we see what happened. Yes, my Nigel Jah will protect I and I. So let me bring in Mr. C. Conway. CC, before I go on, I know that was a little tirade there, but let me hear you, my brother.
Okay. Before we talk about the fear, let me just go into this charge that they give you. I can't go into too much of details, but here it's in section 62.1 of the Sexual Offense Act 2010. It said 62.3. Every person who publishes in any document or broadcasts or transmit in any way any information that could identify the complainant or a witness contrary to subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $2 million. That's the Sexual Offences Act. And then you look at the Constitution, Article 146. Except with his or her own consent, no person shall be hindered in the employment of his or her freedom of expression. That is to say, freedom to hold opinion without interference, freedom to receive ideas and information without interference, freedom to communicate ideas and information without interference, and freedom from interference with his or her correspondence. I said over and over again that the Constitution is the supreme law, and any legislation you're going to put in place, any act you're going to put in place, anything you're going to put in place, it must fall within the ambit of the Constitution. So I'm going to leave that with you, for you to decide, one way or the other. Later on, as the case progresses, we're going to get disclosure. We're going to get public disclosure, and then even down to that, I heard, I'm not too certain, that even the police in their one of their press release mentioned the name and the rank of the person who made the allegation. In their own press release, they mentioned the name and the rank of the person who is alleged to be who made the allegation. So a whole sort of thing going wrong. And just like you, Paul, I am not afraid. If I have to die, I have to die. And if we all have to die sometime or the other. I don't remember the Lord say, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. So they're gonna do all kind of thing to silence us, But we're not gonna take no silence. We're gonna continue the work that we're doing. It's God's work we're doing, and we continue to do it. And even Jesus Christ and all, they crucified Jesus Christ. So what was the big idea? What's the big idea? What should happen will happen, and all is in the name of the Lord.
So you see, one of the students is asking for you to repeat the Constitution, the freedom, what they call the act dealing with freedom of expression.
Okay, let me just bear with me a while. Article 146, and it's about protection of freedom of expression. I read it. Except with his or her own consent, no person shall be hindered in the employment of his or her freedom of expression. That's to say, freedom to hold opinions without interference, freedom to receive ideas and information without interference, freedom to communicate ideas and information without interference, and freedom from interference with his or her correspondence. You have it. I will not comment further. You make your own judgment.
Yeah, it is there, dear students. It's there. Now let me move on to the next issue. I noted today and over the weekend, 41 GDF officers promoted. GDF officers have been promoted 41. The last time officers, and the officers here mean, when we talk about police, we talk about officers in the police force are from the rank of, cadet officer right up to assistant commissioner, is the police service commission. But the police service commission is also responsible for promoting inspectors, right? Now, I see. Let me make a comment on the thing. This color is not red. This is maroon. This is a maroon shirt that I'm wearing. So Desiree teases me, say when she see the color, she thought a crossover. Well, it is not red. This is a maroon. All them police officers buy up all their red shirt. They buy up all the red shirt and all the red blazers and so on. But this is maroon. This is not red, or wine, the scarlet wine color. So yes, let me tell you all, GDF officers promoted. The last time, apart from December 19th last year, when the president promoted the commissioner and the deputy commissioners, since July 2022, the police officers have not been promoted. Inspectors and officers have not been promoted. They have not been promoted. We are saying here, and we have said it before, that they find themselves now in a quandary because the police office commission as it currently is not constitutional. It is not. The Constitution says what should be the composition of the commission. 5 persons. The Chief Justice made a ruling on that some time ago. 5 persons. And what happened last year, November, one of the persons died. Mark Conway died. So they're now down to 4. And according to the Constitution, it should be 5. Right? And people talk about quorum and all of that. Nonsense. You have to have the body formed properly before you can then talk about quorum. Nonetheless, use that argument when the case came up earlier about the composition of the commission. You have to have the body formed, and once the body is properly formed, then you can decide about on what is a quorum. So it is not properly formed, even though they put together the tribal union and are waiting on Brutus to challenge the decisions that they make in respect to that. I bet that Brutus can challenge them at some stage. It's unlawful, unconstitutional. I have a strong suspicion they know that, and that is why they are not going ahead with the promotions. They put together the tribunal, or the tribal union, as the sergeant called it, for the sole purpose of dismissing Brutus. They have succeeded in that, even though it's unconstitutional, lawful, and all that. They dismiss Brutus. They're not making any promotion, though. They're not making, since 2022, they are not making any promotion in the force. GDF, and it's a different system, students. GDF, their promotion is by the Defense Board. The Defense Board comprises the president, the chief of staff, I think the commissioner of police, and whoever. They form the Defense Board, and they give promotion for officers and I think warrant officers in the GDF. In the police, it is the Police Service Commission. So it's a different thing. It's a different thing. So I know y'all might want to ask, it is a different thing altogether. But they're not promoting the ranks, and then they want to know, but look, they're not even paying the people when they work. And they want to know why the ranks are demoralized. recently, the minister with responsibility to finance, Ashley Singh, I think in Parliament stated 2,000 and something people have resigned since 2020 when this government came into office. I wonder if Robesman will tell us how many ranks from the force have resigned or have walked off the job since 2020. Wonder if he can tell us that. Because a lot of people just walking off, right? Well, yeah, Umi, they say, the minister said 2,800 persons. There's an alarming figure. In 4 years or so, 2,800 public servants just chucked and gone. Why have they analyzed to see why the people are leaving? And I suspect that that police would be a high percentage of that if they count police in that. High percentage. Not only resign, but people just walking off and then coming, just walk off. They say, I done with y'all. Do what you want to do. I done with you. That is what is taking place. So no promotion for the police. I see one of the police propagandists. He come up with something. May I read it? Or just see the headline. Which suggests that he's attacking the system for not promoting police officers and inspectors. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to comment on that. CC, no promotion in the police force at the senior level, except for the deputy commissioners and the commissioner on the 19th of December 2024. Your views?
Well, as you mentioned and as we stated before, that the Police Service Commission is not fully, properly, legally constituted. They must get 5 members. They only get 4. My namesake, my cousin Mark Conway died months ago, and he didn't have a replacement. And the process for a replacement is that they gotta be nominations by the body who appear to have the interest of the police force. They got to submit the name to Parliament. The select committee got to reach, and then select committee don't reach nowadays, and then submit the list to the president. And here it is. He has to get meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition before he could appoint that person. And gave the share right in Abby Norton and Norton register back. That is not meaningful consultation. And I always remember the Chief Justice in our ruling when they had 4 persons. She said, or she ruled that it is not fully and legally constituted, and it cannot perform any duty. It cannot perform any duty of the commission unless it is properly constituted. And then when it's constituted, the rule is that the chairman and 2 other persons will form a quorum. So they can't, even they promote people, it is illegal. And a lot of people since 22 left the work. They would have benefited from another promotion, which would have enhanced their pension and gratuity and other things. But they're gone. And then the morale is low. The morale is low. Morale isn't high in the police force. And I don't know what they're waiting for. This is when they should run with breakneck speed and appoint a 5th member of the Constitution so that they could be fully constituted, and it could deal with, because it is deal with this Police Service Commission will deal with appointment, disciplinary control, and removal from office. Those are the 3 pillars in which the Police Service Commission stands on. But no, they get 4 people, and then they don't turn in anything to make sure that it's fully and legally constituted. Perhaps they must be right. They must know why.
Yeah, you're so correct. So correct. Now, in response to the 2 comments, one student is saying that the figure that they gave does not include students. Sorry, does not include teachers and nurses. So the 2,800 that they gave does not include nurses and teachers. I have a strong suspicion that it does not include policemen and women as well. And Toro, I knew Wayne. He's saying here that he served with Anti-Comsy's son, Major Wayne McKenzie, during the 70s. I'm not sure if it's the 70s. He said 70s or 80s. I was on a national shooting team with Wayne McKenzie to Jamaica. When I went to Jamaica and shoot, that might have been 1980 or sometime around then. Wayne was on that team. We were both on the national rifle team representing Guyana in Jamaica. So I knew Wayne very, very well. He think he was a dog handler, dog breeder as well in his part time and so on. So yes, folks. Well, let me move on. Let me move on. Share the live. Share the live. Let me move on. We have a lot of issues to cover. Now, the next thing I wanted to cover, as we said before, traffic. Another traffic death over the weekend. They're claiming that this man was killed. In Meadowbrook or Meadowbank somewhere there. Motorcyclist killed. I think I have the thing here somewhere, and the story. Let me try to find it so I can read what they say about this motorcyclist who was killed. One moment, hold on. Here it is, right? The release says Brentnell Reynolds, that's the name of the man, 32-year-old, died yesterday afternoon after his motorbike was hit by a car at Tacuba Road in Meadowbrook around 3:30 p.m. Brentnell, they say he had been on his way to a nearby shop to collect beverages to sell at Juve Soca Consort. According to relatives, the driver of the car has been detained by police. But a lot of things came out of this, that the driver who was detained, or the two men they claim who were detained, one is 17, one is 16. 17-year-old, 16. And then they're saying later on, the news said that the 17-year-old was unlicensed and driving this car at the time. Then they give the car number and so on. He's unlicensed and he's driving the car and he caused the death. Another thing that they talk about, apparently there was sand on the road and they're claiming the sand caused the motorcyclist to lose control. But let me go to the driver. Let me go to the driver. Well, somebody's saying wrong news that he's still in hospital. I don't know which one they're talking about. That he's still in hospital. Somebody's commenting here to say that he's still in hospital. So I don't know, but the police report that the man died while receiving treatment. Of course, when the police report it, you cannot always believe them. Now, 17-year-old unlicensed driving caused a death, even if the man in death causing injuries to this sports. So I'm sure, based on what was carried in Stabrotusu, the said the man died. Right? Now, who owns the vehicle? I don't think the vehicle was owned or is owned by the 17-year-old who was driving it. Who owns the vehicle? Who owns? Commissioner is saying that the report said that the man died. That's the report that I read. I think even this morning, Sabrotusa said that the man died, the motorcyclist died. Right? They said the man dead. That is what they're reporting. So I'm going on that premise that the man is dead. If he's not dead, hallelujah. But they said that the man died. 17-year-old could not have owned that vehicle. I am sure. So what happened to the owner of the vehicle? The owner of the vehicle is culpable unless they can prove, hear this, unless they can prove is that the driver, the 17-year-old, took the vehicle without the owner's consent. And there is such a charge, taking vehicle without owner's consent. So unless they can prove that the driver who ended up in this accident took the vehicle without the owner's consent, the owner is culpable. Breach of insurance and all of those things coming into play. So I hope that the police looking into that too. I hope that the police is looking into that. So a 17-year-old is unlicensed, he ain't got license, he driving, that right away is a breach of insurance. The owner of the vehicle has some culpability, unless they can prove that the driver took the vehicle without the owner's consent. Now that is how we get the key. Where was the vehicle when he took it? All of those things that the police ought to be investigating properly. Now that is face value thing, they just get face value thing. Another death, and I think I read this morning too somewhere that someone who was struck down, motorcyclist again, might have been Sheriff Street or somewhere, succumbed yesterday. He too died. And what does that mean? Nothing really is taking place. Nothing. You get the Attorney General jumping off the place and making another statement. I noted too that over the past week, another man who refused to be breathalyzed, the police tried to administer the breathalyzer test to him. Apparently, they had suspicion that he was under the influence, and What happened? The man refused. Went to court and paid a $30,000 fine. Brilliant. Brilliant. Because if you are breathalyzed and you are found to be above the legal limit, which I'll tell you about later on in the program, then the minimum fine is $200,000. So once you're found to be under the above the legal limit, so you're legally drunk, and there's a presumption of law that once your reading is 3.5 or 35, I'm going to read it just now to you, you are presumed to be incapable of controlling a vehicle. There's a presumption of law. And I remember when I did prosecutor's course and my training, you cannot rebut presumptions of law. Presumptions of fact, yes. But presumption of law, once the law says so, that if you 3 or 35, whatever it is, you are drunk, that is it. You can't go and say, well, you know, I just drink 10 beer and I didn't drunk and so on. Once that is the reading, you are presumed to be drunk and incapable of commanding a vehicle. Right? It's ridiculous. There was a case before. Nonetheless, like the type of breakneck speed. This is one that should have gone to Parliament with breakneck speed to ensure that if a person refuses to take a breathalyzer test, the person should be deemed to be under the influence and fine the same $200,000. Other than that, you're making sense? Because everybody now will say me and taking no test. Right? I'm not taking any test. You charge, you carry the court, you pay $30,000 fine. The man is $170,000 in the good. He's $170,000 in the good. And before I bring him, Mr. Conway, a question was asked by my friend from Jamaica, if when people leave the job, they do exit interview. Nothing like that happens. Years ago, exit interview. I, as a young policeman in 1976, actually requested to leave the force. Joe Sam was the officer in charge of TSU. I had to go to him for an interview, following which I was taken to the commissioner for an interview because I was an instructor as a constable and I felt I was getting a wrong deal. So I write the paper for Chuck. And I explained to when I went to the interview, I explained to Mr. Sam why I wanted to leave, and Mr. Sam communicated with the commissioner sent to call me, Henry Fraser. And about a month or so after, I can't remember the time frame after, but I was promoted to corporal in October of 1976. Yeah, so in those days, exit interviews were done, but I don't know that exit interviews are done now. CC, this driving, this accident thing and the driving under the influence, your views, my brother?
Well, as you mentioned, you know, the people right now going to say, you mean taking nothing? Can't charge me and come for the court and I'm going to pay $30,000 as this thing from the $200,000. And you're correct in terms of presumption, presumption of law and presumption of fact. I remember doing that in my prosecutor course. And presumption of law is what you call irrebuttable presumption. You can't contest that. And then presumption of fact, you could rebut it. So it's there. And then, well, I don't know if I'm going to rush with breakneck speed, because the thing is that people, there's a loophole. There's a loophole that they need to deal with urgently, because you're making a mockery of the law there. Say, me ain't taking no tests, and all you gotta do, you charge me for failing to take the test, and I'm gonna pay a less amount of money. So they need to look at it.
Yeah, they got to look at it. And somebody's saying, look what they're saying, look. 2 died early this morning on the quarantine road involving 2 motorcycles. That is this morning. This morning, this has been reported now. We're seeing this for the first time. So we're in a crisis. We are in a crisis in the country when it comes to what is going on the road, but they're not dealing with that. They're not dealing with that. Now, in terms of the policeman who drunk, let me come back to that Lance Corporal, Boston, who drunk. It's a really sad situation, man on duty. And part of the Stabrook News editorial this morning, I'm going to read a part of it that relates to this, and hear what they said, right? They said, they were commenting on the President Republic anniversary speech, where he talked about all the infrastructure, they're building and they're doing this. He ain't talking about all the money that the thieving and so on. Or let me put it correctly, all the money that is being alleged, the allegation of all the thieving that is going on. You're going to talk about that, right? We talk about all the infrastructure. So here what Stabrook News said about that. Back on the water. We talk about back in the water because they were talking about the new boat to travel from Georgetown to Northwest. Right? The boat ain't got no type of real capacity to carry goods and all this. That was people complaining. So I said back on the water. This time in Puruni River. A policeman died tragically last week during a patrol. Lance Corporal Jermaine Batston jumped from a boat whose engine had failed along the turbulent waters of the river. He clung desperately to a branch until he could not probably no longer do so, and the treacherous current pulled him away. He did not appear to be wearing a life jacket. This is appalling. The police force administration must answer to the riverworthiness of the craft conducting patrols in riverine areas, whether the engines are suitable for those locations, if those patrolling are aware of how to navigate these waters, and whether safety gears, including life jackets, are being issued and are mandatory. What do the Commissioner of Police and the Minister of Home Affairs have to say about this tragic occurrence? This is another occupational death. What will the Minister of Labor have to say about this and the other deaths that yield no justice to families and allow employers to get off scot-free without accountability for the poor conditions that led to the deaths? While the Lance Corporal died executing his duties in grueling conditions, a new Brickdam police station, quote, poised to be a beacon of modernity and efficiency, end of quote, is being erected. The Minister of Home Affairs said it is a $28 million state-of-the-art 12-story building that will serve as, quote, a testament to the government's unwavering commitment to providing cutting-edge facilities for its law enforcement agencies, end of quote. It's another example of the gleaming image being projected for the country by the Ali administration, while the working conditions of the Lance Corporal and others like him are thoroughly substandard. Then they go on to the GDF story with the shooting, which you can talk about later. Yeah, a lot of buildings, they talk about building all these buildings and so on. Policemen on patrol in the Cayuni River. They would appear, according to them, according to the release, the boat stalled. Well, those of us who traverse those rivers, those treacherous rivers, know that once your boat stalls, especially at a rapid or anything like that, it's trouble you're in. You are in serious, serious trouble. Right? The boat stalled, therefore you're going to turn over, because once you don't have the engine power to keep it moving. They said the Lance Corporal clung to some branch, and how long with the water, he fall over, he died. They recovered the body, the man there. The commissioner and the minister must be made to answer, as the editorial suggests. They're going to tell us very soon, because, Ikim and Robson, they're dumb. Can't eat their tongue. They can't come to talk about these matters. Since this thing, you ain't even hear a statement from the commissioner expressing condolences to the family and other members of the force, giving out of his colleagues some type of motivation and so on. Nothing you hear from them. Nothing. And then you go hear shortly, because Stabrook News start, and because I'm speaking out, you're going to hear OPR will investigate. That's the default position. OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility, will investigate. But it's required a thorough investigation, as the editor is suggesting. What happened to, you get people going on riverine patrol, it should be mandatory that they are issued with life jackets. Mandatory. And here it is, a policeman patrolling, no life jacket. Was life jacket issued to the station and he didn't wear it? That's a question going to be asked. And if life jacket was issued, it has to be mandated. He has to wear the life jacket. He doesn't have a choice. That should be the standing order. That once you're going on a riverine patrol, you must wear your life jacket. But here it is, policeman ain't wear life jacket. I don't even know if they get, maybe with the lick up of the quartermaster store, maybe they didn't get money for buy life jackets too. And if they didn't get money for buy life jacket, they just beg. Police beg all them people for donate car and for donate computer, beg for donate life jacket, even though the government would want to tell you they voted $44.4 billion in the budget, 2025 budget for the police. Well, how much of that done buy safety equipment? And not only life jacket, we have been saying on this program repeatedly, policemen have to be equipped with less than lethal weapons. We heard recently they brought in some taser. That is not sufficient. You also got to get pepper spray and other less than lethal weapons so the police ranks on duty can properly protect themselves. And again, I got to lament the fact that the police association should be involved in this thing, speaking to the administration. This is the safety and welfare of the ranks, and that is your mandate, to look into the safety and welfare of the ranks, to make sure that these things are provided. But they're not doing that. They're silent. I see they're visiting, and they're visiting. Just go and visit, spend a little money, eat a little food, and say that you visit. That is not going to cut it. That is not going to cut it. You have to look at the welfare needs of the rank whom you claim to represent. Let me bring in Mr. Conway before we move on. See, this thing that I just read. Your views.
Well, occupation safety and health comes into play. Occupation safety and health is not only for the Ministry of Labor, is involve all workers. And here it is apparent that that policeman, and my sympathy to the relatives, family, the friends, members of the force for the death of that young Lance Corporal. Here it is, on a patrol, riverine patrol, no life jacket. I know the area well, Paul. I was police commando, and I can boast. I was commander, we call ENF division, commander for region 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10, all at the same time. And I wasn't an armchair commander. I used to walk the ground, and I know the rivers good. I know the Cayuni, the Mazzaroni, the Potaro, the Rupunoni, the Puruni, all those rivers I know well, and then many falls, many falls. And if I wasn't wearing life jacket, I would not have been here. I can remember the 30th of June 1979 when a boat docked with us, but we had life jackets and we survived. I don't know. I used to ensure that they get life jackets. And only life jackets, the boats too. You used to make sure that their boats are conducive for the riverine area. There are many rapids, there are many falls. And not only the boats, the person who's going to operate the boats. We used to employ, we call boat hands, civilians. Make them boat hands. Sometimes you make them RCs. And they were the persons who knew to navigate the rapids, who knew to navigate the falls. You utilize them, you employ them so that they can take the police around the place that they go, But I'm shocked to hear that the guy didn't have any kind of life jacket on it, And where's the commissioner? Where is the command in this? Where is the deputy commissioner operation in this kind of thing? Instead of jumping by the place there, go in and visit the location, visit the interior. That's where the men are working. That's where the life are in daily peril. That you need to look at your welfare and you need to look at the health and safety of your ranks. Sad, a policeman drowned, had no life jacket. And I don't know the type of engine I use, because sometimes you gotta know what kind of engine you use, long foot or short foot engine that, sometimes you gotta use short foot because, it might hit rocks and these kind of things. That a proper thing has got to be done. When you're dealing with riverine patrols, the areas are dangerous. The rapids are many. The waterfalls are many. But in the absence of or anything, is that their safety, their health and safety is of paramount importance. And that's what they need to look at. And I think in this case, that was overlooked.
Yeah. Now let me answer a question again from a student asking, up to what rank can the chairman of the police association hold? I think it's up to chief inspector, because once you become a gazetted rank, you cannot be a member of the police association and you are not represented by the police association. They represent from constable to chief inspector. There was, or perhaps still is, officers association, but it doesn't have any legal authority. The police association is catered for in the Police Act Chapter 1601, but not so the Police Officers Association. I chaired that Officers Association some time ago, and we had put a proposal for the amendment to the Police Act to make sure that the Officers Association is given legal authority, but that never went anywhere. So up to Chief Inspector, and that is why, as you're asking student, as we said before, when they last, they had this thing with the election members, 2 meetings held. Mr. Conway explained to you that at length. We just held a meeting, installed Inspector Premnerine as the chairperson. Another meeting was held the same day and returned the people with Inspector Ford as the chairperson, returned as chairperson, right? And what happened? The commissioner vitiated both meetings, and then when he got instructions, he then said that the meeting that installed Premnerine should be recognized as the meeting. And they are the ones who then submitted a list of persons to the police, to Parliament, to form the Police Service Commission. And he was then pitchforked from an inspector to a superintendent, triple jump. And therefore, immediately, he had to come off. He could no longer be a member of the Police Association. So I really don't know who is the chairman of that body now. So I needed to explain that to you. Now, let me give you all an next laugh, man. This is share the life. This is the police propaganda unit again. Yesterday was March Day. They had all the float parade and so on. I think they would normally come up Church Street. That is east into Church Street, turn into Virginia Road, into J.B. Singh Road, and then turn into Thomas Road. For those of you who know tongue, you know what I'm talking about. Church Street, you come up east, then you turn into Virginia Road north, and then Virginia Road turns into J.B. Singh Road, and then you turn west into Thomas Land. That is the normal route. I think that was the route yesterday. So yesterday morning, the Police Corporate Communication Unit, the Corporate Propaganda Unit, headed by Mark Ramatar, them dancing people, they issued a, urgent traffic advisory. And listen to me carefully what these people wrote. Attention, owners and or operators who have parked motor vehicles on the western carriageway of J.B. Singh Road between Camp Road and Thomas Road are advised to remove their vehicles immediately. Failure to do so will end in said vehicle or vehicles being towed. Now, for those of you who know tongue, let me tell you what it's saying here. J.B. Singh Road runs north to south, right? J.B. Singh Road starts from Virginia Road going north onto the roundabout. There's J.B. Singh Road, north to south. Camp Road that they're talking about, right, runs, they said between Camp Road runs in the same direction, north to south. But Camp Road is to the west, right down at the west by police, right? And they're telling you if you park between J.B. Singh Road and Camp Road, let me read again, you park on the western carriageway of J.B. Singh Road between Camp Road and Thomas Road. But they're impossible. That is not possible. J.B. Singh Road run north to south. Camp Road run north to south. Thomas Road, the thing. So you're going to pass on the western carriageway of J.B. Singh Road between Camp Road and Thomas Road. Again, they're just issuing these things out there. Nobody checks these things. This thing circulates to the whole country and the whole world for people looking. And for people who know the geography, people who know the geography, who are familiar with the geography, know that the right thing stupidness. I suspect what they meant. That normally the flow does turn in. I believe they meant between, you park on Thomas Road, between J.B. Singh and Camp Road. I believe that's what I mean. J.B. Singh is the same as Orvin. Yes, Mark. Part is Orvin. Orvin is, normally they tell you, say, Orvin is perhaps the western carriageway and Virginia Road is the Eastern Carriageway. Me and no tongue, but I think they will say the Eastern Carriageway along that same place is Virginia Road, and Orvin Street is on the western over the trench. But then when you go further north, it turns into JB Singh, right? Just like Camp Road is Camp Street. Once you cross over Lamar, going north, it's called Camp Road, and so where immigration is and police training school and all of that. So I don't understand what they're writing. They're writing these things and the thing nobody checks. And when you talk about it, they come in after you. But y'all could come. Y'all could come already for y'all. Y'all could come. Right? So, CC, can you figure out where they were talking about, man? What they were talking about?
Paul, honestly, I don't know. If I Google it, I can't find it. So I really don't know, man.
If Google can't find them, it ain't there no way. It ain't there no way. Now, share the live. We got a sweet one coming up, you know. Share the live. Let me find my notes by me. I want to misquote these people. The Attorney General, Anil Nandalal, SC, MP, made a statement recently. I can read it as carried by Starbrook News, as released by the Department of Public Information. There was recently the opening of the Maburuma Magistrate Court. And here what in a long, let me read it. Here what the article says. This is a Starbrook News article. February the 23rd is yesterday. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Anil Nandalal, SC, has raised concerns about magistrates hearing criminal cases virtually while defendants are overseas, according to the Department of Public Information, DPI. The Attorney General raised these concerns while delivering remarks at the opening of the Maburuma Magistrates Court on Friday. That's Friday Friday the 24th. DPI said that he explained that the criminal jurisdiction of the court is territorial, which means that it cannot exercise jurisdiction over persons who are outside of Guyana. It is for this reason he contends that conducting criminal cases while the defendant is overseas is not legally permissible. Let me read that back. Let me read back that part. The DPI said that the Attorney General explained that the criminal jurisdiction of the court is territorial, which means that it cannot exercise jurisdiction over persons who are outside of Guyana. It is for this reason he contends that conducting criminal cases while the defendant is overseas is not legally permissible. Let me continue. We have to carefully look at the situation as it continues to occur in the magistrate's court, end of quote. He said, directing his remarks to the Chancellor of the Judiciary and the Chief Justice who were present at the event, DPI said. Now, DPI said that the AG gave several reasons for this legal principle. For instance, if the defendant is found guilty, the court's ability to impose and execute a judgment or sentence is affected if the defendant is outside of its jurisdiction. Quote, for example, if a term of imprisonment is to be imposed and a person is to be sentenced, how would that sentence be executed when the person is not within the jurisdiction of the court for him to be delivered to the prison authorities for the sentence to take effect? End of quote, he asked. Further, he pointed out that if the defendant is to be remanded, enforcing that order becomes problematic if the individual is outside the court's jurisdiction. The Attorney General said that it is for this reason that persons charged with criminal offenses must seek permission from the court to leave the jurisdiction. Quote, that permission should only be granted between court dates in respect of the criminal proceedings to ensure that the defendant returns to the jurisdiction for the next hearing of the case, end of quote, Nandalal added. The Attorney General's stance comes in the wake of the wife of former Assistant Commissioner acting, he wasn't acting, but I say acting, of Police Calvin Brutus, Adonica Alder, virtual appearance in court. Brutus and Alder are facing a series of charges related to financial irregularities. Anil Nandalal just wake up and decided that the powers of the court is territorial. Now, if this is so, let me ask before bringing Mr. Conway. Only last year, I think it was, Nandalal, Jack Dio, and several others, right, argued that they let me pull the thing in, right? They argue that the magistrate in the Rickford Burke case, that the magistrate had the authority to issue a summons which they serve and work in New York. So if the magistrate, as Mandela is now saying, is territorial, meaning within the territory of Guyana, how come they argue that the other day? How come they send a policeman from Guyana to the US to serve a summons on board? So how come, so when did the magistrate power became territorial? After that? Is it after that? So I don't know. When I saw this thing, I said, no. I had to read it back. Because I said, no, the Attorney General could not be saying that. Could not be saying that. Right? I said he could not be saying that. So, like UC Anderson said, let me read what UC Anderson said. UC Anderson said is another quotation. He said, I did not go to law school in summertime, or I float, and the gods of heaven, or the God of heaven whom I serve, did not create my brain on the day between Sunday and Monday. Here what UC Anderson said, I'm quoting UC Anderson, the lawyer. He says, I did not go to law school in summertime, or I float, and the God of heaven whom I serve did not create my brain on the day between Sunday and Monday. But when I read this thing, I said something wrong. Nandalal is saying, let me read about, because this is very instructive, that the attorney is saying, he explained that the criminal jurisdiction of the court is territorial, which means that it cannot exercise jurisdiction over persons who are outside of Guyana. It is for this reason he contends that conducting criminal cases while the defendant is overseas is not legally permissible. That is what DPI report, and that is what Starbuck News report DBI are saying. When did this happen? Because it's only last year they argued vociferously that this thing, that they tried to kerfuffle people and say it was okay because the magistrate, according to the thing, is alleged to have been misled because they put an East Coast address on the summons, an East Coast address. So apparently the people saw this East Coast address and decided Burke had not come account to Burke in this country for years, 12, 13 years, he had not been here, right? He had not been here. But they put an East Coast address. And it was appeared that based on the East Coast address, a summons was issued. And then they sent a policeman from Guyana to New York to serve the summons. And they argued then that that was lawful, that was legally permissible. Now the Attorney General is saying that the magistrate power is territorial, meaning that the magistrate only has power within the territory of Guyana. So how did they go to New York last year and claim that they get authority to go out there? They became, last year they were world police. They could have gone any place in the world and served process summons. Don't bring him Mr. Conway. Conway got a way of explaining these things much better than I can. So let me hear what CC got to say, man. CC, let me hear what you got to say, man.
Well, I was surprised that those words came from the mouth of the supreme legal advisor of the government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Anil Nanlal. I'm surprised. And then I'm even more surprised that if he didn't say so, he didn't rush with the breakneck speed to debunk what is written in that article. No, he's saying he just wake up like Rip Van Winkle and say, hey, this thing is territorial. You can't go in another country and solve due process. That you can't go in a country and solve due process. So why did they send the detective assistant superintendent to America to solve due process or to cause due process to be solved on work? And why they're hustling with Millie Mill and others if the thing is territorial? It's really mind-boggling, you know. It's really, 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 really incredible. I can't understand it. Perhaps the action then, not perhaps, the action then was reprehensible.
The action was reprehensible. Reprehensible. You gotta repeat reprehensible. Right? They tired up themselves. And you know, I said before, I like when they talk, you know, because more they speak, it's more they expose their ignorance and they expose their incompetence. The more they speak. Now let me think this one here now. Oh, okay. Let me go into this one. I want this one get still. You know, they had yesterday was March Day, and they had the flag raising ceremony Saturday night on the forecourt of Parliament building. Right? So this thing now is not so big. You know, back in the day it was a big celebration, big thing at the National Park. When they came into power, I think they went to Durban Park. But now it's a little puku thing at the forecourt of the Parliament building. It transpired that the government, this PPP government, did not invite the opposition leader and members of the opposition to this national event. This is not a PPP event. This is a national event. And they did not invite the leader of the opposition and members of the opposition to this national event. And here, where they come with this sanctimonious self, they issued a release yesterday. And here, what it says, we extend a formal and unequivocal apology to the leader of the opposition and members of the opposition over the failure to issue invitations to the 55th Republic flag raising ceremony. We also extend our sincere apologies to His Excellency, President Mohammed Irfan Ali, for the regrettable embarrassment this oversight has caused. The responsibility for coordinating and distributing invitations rests solely with the Office of the Director of Culture, and this regrettable oversight is entirely attributable to our office. This was not a deliberate act of exclusion. Invitations were duly extended to opposition in 2024, and there was no intent to disregard or undermine their participation in this year's national event. We take this matter seriously and are committed to ensuring that all state functions reflect the principle of inclusivity and respect for all stakeholders. Moving forward, stringent measures will be implemented to prevent such oversight and uphold the integrity of our national celebration. Sanctimonious, hypocritical. There can't be no oversight. More so if you're saying that they were invited in 2024. What, you ain't got a list? You ain't got a file that you will go through to see all those who are invited and make sure those persons are invited? You don't have coordinated meetings? It would appear to me, and I got it here, I hear they say it come under the office of the Director of Culture. They said this thing come under the office of the Director of Culture. And I did my research, and I discovered the Director of Culture is a lady by the name of Tamika Boswain. She's the Director of Culture, right? And I understand that Andrew Tyndall is the coordinator for matrimony and special events. I remember years ago, my friend Lennox Canterbury used to do that. I want to get him a cup this with Lennox Canterbury, right? And then they also have a permanent secretary, Melissa Tucker. And don't forget the minister, Charles Ramsey Jr. So how come this cannot be a mistake? Cannot be. This has to be deliberate. It has to be. Because let me tell you something. As a senior police officer, it's especially in charge of Georgetown, and then later on operations of the force, these things are properly, at least in my days, coordinated with meetings after meetings after meetings, right? Meetings. You get meetings. You get rehearsals on all of these things. And during the course of the meetings, you get a checklist that you will go through. The band director was Boville then, will report on the music and cultural aspect. People from the dance school and thing coordinating the cultural aspect. Traffic people on the traffic aspect. Police me as a overall police. You can't miss inviting the leader of the opposition and members, leader and members of the opposition, tell people that there is a mistake. A beefsteak, that is deliberate. That is deliberate. That oversight, that was deliberate. And you said in 2024, you said the invitations were duly extended to the opposition in 2024, and there was no intent to disregard or undermine their participation this year. 2024 was not an election year, so you invite them. This year is an election year. So you do everything to marginalize the opposition. And this is not politics. We talk about corruption and incompetence. You're doing everything to marginalize, including keeping them away from a national event. And you talk about one Diana. All right, it was an oversight. Let's wait to see who will be held accountable. Let's wait. Hope they show the one body under the bus. Because I always remember Mr. Conway and I will speak about it. Vicarious liability, the buck stops with the minister. If it's an activity coordinated by the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, and such a big blunder, no more mistake, not blunder, let me put it out. Such a big blunder, the minister is accountable. So call who you want below you. You, the minister, you are accountable. And I can see this as an attempt to throw somebody under the bus. Throw someone under the bus. Right? So let me bring in Mr. Conway. I think I got the next matter that I want us to deal with. Mr. Conway, I don't think that this is a mistake. I believe this was deliberate. What are your views?
Could have been oversight. And any sight, it gotta be insightful. The decision was insightful. And I recall sometime maybe 2021 or thereabout, they had a similar issue like that when they were at the Durban Park area, and they didn't make any pub seating arrange for the opposition people. So history got to say, repeat itself, and nobody don't get no checklists. Nobody don't ask questions. For the matter, I was listening to the president's address at home, and I hear him, identifying in his opening the leader of the opposition and other members of the opposition. I hear he mention none of them. So I say, hey, like he and him get around again, and he calling the name, not knowing that those persons were not invited. And you say vicarious liability, the buck stops with the minister. And I hear somebody say maybe he wasn't invited to maybe he didn't invite himself. Maybe somebody say he wasn't there. He wasn't there at the sermon. I don't know. I don't know. I watched the thing and I can't remember seeing him there. So it was a deliberate and maybe well calculated, and maybe they want to throw somebody under the bus, and it's a deliberate plan, to treat the members of the opposition anyhow. And for me, let me sum it up in one word: that what happened there was one Guyana. One Guyana.
Yeah, well, but the brilliant students make a point here. One student make the point. When you go there, you would have to have seating arrangement, because people don't just sit haphazardly. You have a seating plan and because there's an order, there's a protocol order, There's an order, protocol order. I have a copy somewhere. Starting with the president, or they call it the order of precedent. President, the prime minister, then I think the third person is the speaker of the National Assembly, and then you come all the way down to the line vice president. So the other president, Jagdeo, they're up there, even though Jagdeo wielding all this power as a vice president, no, it's the president. I think the prime minister, I think the speaker of the National Assembly, maybe even the chancellor and all of those people are I up there. So all right, when you're making the seating arrangement on Saturday, the people there would have had to say who's sitting where. Did they not realize at that stage that there were no seating arrangements for the leader of the opposition and members of the opposition? This is BS. This was deliberate. It was deliberate. Another said, I come with a sanctimonious self and tell you, it was an oversight and the Ministry of Culture apologizing on behalf of the president. All right, if it was deliberate, if it was a mistake, let's wait to see if anyone will be held accountable. Because in this place that you call Guyana, the word accountability, transparency, and all, I don't think don't exist. Don't exist. Just like how the speaker banned the word corruption from parliament, the word transparency and accountability has been banned from the government vocabulary. They don't use them things. Even if they use it, they don't know the meaning of those two words. Accountability, transparency. Cannot be a mistake that the leader of the opposition and members of the opposition were not invited to a national event. To a national event. Now let me go into this. I got for 50 minutes more. Now the next one, since Monday, we were to talk about this ERC, the Ethnic Relations Commission. They came out with a statement about 2 weeks ago, week and a half to 2 weeks ago, that they, in relation to this allegation made by the sculptor Ivor Tom. Ivor Tom made an allegation that he was at a place there, the Borough School of Art. Some man parked, and he told the guy he can't park there. And the guy used some racial slur to him. Right? That's the allegation, Tommy. I got the thing here. I got time to read out of it. He said, once the guy used the racial slur, he then received a call from the same Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, headed by Charles Ramsey Jr. He received 2 calls telling him that the minister wanted to see him immediately. He claimed, I got a part I want to really quote, I got to find it. He claimed that when he went to the minister, the minister asked him what transpired in respect to the same issue. The same issue with the person who tried to park there. Minister told him, among other things, that is not work to tell people that they should not park there. And then he alleged that the minister told him, I can read it here. Minister told him, that Tom said, he said to me, your image is not a reflection of what he wants for this ministry. Hear what Tom alleged that the minister told him. Your image. Let me back up. I don't have it here now. Tom dresses in his African clothes all the time. He'd wear the top, the dashiki type thing. That's what he wears all the time. So when the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport says to Mr. Tom, your image is not a reflection of what he wants for the ministry. And then Tom said, he said, well, Minister, you are the minister, and you will have to make a decision, or I will have to make my appropriate decision. And shortly after, I left. That is what the minister said. Now, based on that, the Ethnic Relations Commission decided to launch an investigation. The Ethnic Relations Commission of Guyana decided to launch an investigation. Now, let me tell you all who are the members of the ERC. The ERC, right? Well, before I go there, I just wanted to, let me go on and tell you who are the members. The members are Sheikh Moin Ul Ak, is the chairman. And in case you don't know, he is the husband of the Director of Public Prosecution, Shalimar Ali Ak. So that is the chairman of the Ethnic Relations Commission, Sheikh Mohin Ul Haq. Mr. Charles Ogle is the deputy chairman. Pandit Christian Sharma, Niaz Suban, Norris Witter, Reverend Rodwell Porter, Mr. Dwayne Adams, Ashton Simon, Chandrauti Saran, Dion Dick, known as Ras Kafra, Gomin Kumash is the CEO, and they have an investigative team. The investigative team is headed by a Farouk Khan. He's the head of the investigative unit. Lumidia Fonans is a senior investigating officer. Deshwan Franco is a junior investigating officer. And Miss Angela Madre Rahaman is a junior investigating officer. So they have a team of investigators. They have a team of investigators. They also have a public media monitors, public relations and awareness department, a public relations officer, and a program officer. That's what they have, right? So they have a unit at ERC. They are claiming that they weren't able to get information as to who is the person that is alleged to have made the racial slur against Ivatan at the Borough School of Art. Well, when I look at the people who are investigators here, the first thing I want to know what their investigative background. Farouk Khan, head the investigative unit. Lumidia Fanan, senior investigative officer. Deshwan Franco, junior investigative officer. And Angela Madri Rahman as the junior investigative officer. I don't know them with any investigative background. Perhaps they have, but I don't know of it. So who are these people? Because this investigation, with my experience, is so simple. The minister must know Kali, because Tom claims that once he had this action with this person who used racial slurs, shortly after, a woman who was in company with this man went on the phone, and then Tom received shortly after a call from the ministry, two persons of the ministry, two separate calls. The minister wanted to see him immediately. The only logical conclusion is the woman called the minister, and the minister then tell them to call Tom. So you think you want to suggest to me, right? Remember, my brain wasn't created between Monday and Sunday, you know. You want to suggest to me that the minister is going to react in the manner he reacted to some Tom, Dick, or Rambaran or somebody? It is clear from the evidence that the person who called the minister knows the minister. You know the minister, you get the minister phone, you call the minister, you tell him what's going on, and then the minister call the people and tell them, get Mr. Tom to me. And you telling me that you can't identify who the person is? That's a straightforward thing. The minister ain't got telephone. Did you go to the telephone company to find out what number, call him at a particular time? Because the whole time frame is there and who this number is registered to. Did you make those efforts? Look, how you get out of here? And these are the same people now telling you that David Hines, Dr. David Hines made a statement, referred to people as Lickbatty, and they're going to investigate. They're going to investigate that with a lot of vigor. You know, they're going to investigate David Hines' statement. But this matter involving Mr. Tom, you're going to investigate. You investigate and you come to a dead end. You come to a dead end. And they got other matters. What happened? Before I bring in Mr. Conway, a little walked up, CC, bear with me. You had a statement on social media by a young Indian guy who called himself Gaza. Right? Call himself Gaza. Nothing. So you're going to pice out all them black man. You keep a party, you're going to pice out all them black man. It's just a big one social media. Right? You have black people being called hungry belly black man by people on social media. Right? You got a prominent black woman in Cathy Hughes being called a low life by Barra Jagdeo. The thing. Then we talk about the Indianization of the command structure in the police force. And ERC telling me they're going to investigate. Investigate what? What are you investigating? You have already shown that you're incapable of conducting a proper and credible investigation. When I was chairman of the Police Service Commission, some Indian officers in the police force made a complaint. This is the first time I'm talking this. They made a complaint to the ERC that the commission that I chaired was only promoting Afro-Guyanese. And you know who they had to investigate? The renowned detective, retired Deputy Commissioner Alvin Smith. He came to investigate that matter and was presenting the facts and so on. Now they get some man named Farouk Khan. What is his background in investigation or in law enforcement? What is his background and the other people who are with him? So how can we be surprised that didn't go any place? It didn't go any place because no proper investigation was done. None. Because if a proper investigation was done, you would have been able to find out who is the person that made the call to the minister. And that person ought to have been able to say who was the driver, or who was the person who had who made the racial slurs to Mr. Ivatan. But no proper investigation. No proper investigation. So we are telling people. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, your view, me bro.
This thing is very simple, you know. But then again, when you look at it, I'm not surprised. Because who are the investigators? Where's the background? they had any forensic training or anything. Who are they? Where they come from? They just appoint them and then they get all sort of them now. Person in charge, senior investigators, deputy, junior investigators, all sort of people there. And they can't find out a simple thing. And and it reminds me that okay, they can check with the telephone company. I remember when they had the inquiry at the Linden where 3 persons were slaughtered. I remember the confirmed squatter say he didn't talk. He had in a certain time he had no conversation with Clement Roy, Minister of Affairs. And there's it, they produced the records to show that communication. And Roy himself go to the inquiry and say yes, he talked on other part of the time to the confirmed squatter. Now, it's a simple investigation. I believe if during my training days, any recruit just out training school and I'd given them the task, they do the thing. And the thing is that they said they come to no dead end, as you said, Paul, it's not no dead end. They close the investigation, then open up no room for it, say they suspend or something, or we use a term, they put on cyanide, they close it done there. And all those amount of investigators they get there, and they can't come with something. Something is wrong, but maybe the quality of investigators get. That's why they were able to come out with anything and they say close, case closed, we done there, done, bury, or we could make it, story done.
Story done, and then instead they're going to investigate Dr. Hines. So when you want to say that's other thing they're going to come with, they're investigating Dr. Hines. See, the student asks if I really believe that these people don't know. Of course, I know they know who it was. Of course, I'm of the view that they know exactly, and this person got to be well connected because somebody pick up a phone and call the minister and get action immediately. They immediately got action. They must know who the person is. Must know. Now, as we attempt to close, I get somebody asking me about the murder Saturday night. We had to talk about, but time gonna run out on us. We don't want to give you. We don't want to start it and not be able to analyze it carefully because we have it listed to speak about. There are some very disturbing things coming out of that murder where this man shoot his reputed wife multiple times and killed her. But we ain't got the time here to go into that now. But I said earlier, when we talk about the alcohol, people driving under the influence, and the man refusing to take the breathalyzer, and then he's fined 30. The police give a release in the same murder case. The last paragraph and make no sense, but most of the things what they said don't make sense. But I gave a release, and we're going to talk about it when next we meet. I want to start you up now and left you halfway. I'm not that type. I don't want to get you started and then leave you halfway. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to give you your therapy. And once I give you your therapy, then I'm going to ask Mr. Conway to give us his closing remarks. And then we are going to tell you about what's going to happen next. I'm looking for the therapy. You got to get your therapy. You got to get your therapy. So here we go.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims.
Gotta get your therapy, bro. You can't leave, especially on this holiday, Monday. You gotta get your therapy. Let me give Mr. Conway for his closing remarks, and then we're gonna tell you what to expect coming down the road. CC, your closing remarks, my brother.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stay on it all the time. Those Amerindian police who completed the training, send back most of them, send back to Region 9 and some others too. They had to pay a police corporal station at Eve Larry $7,000 to purchase boots that are issued, they're supposed to be issued to the members of the police force to wear. They had to pay $7,000 for them. They have not, the match come and gone, they ain't get back their money. I hope they'll be reimbursed by either Pago or Easter coming up. And that the corporal who is fronting for a very senior officer will be dealt with condignly. And I know we have some other spicy issues that we're going to deal with. You go to announce them, Paul, because we don't want to let people halfway. We want time so that when we give you the thing, we're giving you a full thing. We ain't pushing in and pull out, pushing in and pull out. When we push in, we're going to stay in until we're relatively satisfied.
You got to soak in properly. You have a soak in. When you're pushing, you have a soak in. You're Brutus. You file and then you pull out. You file and pull out and so on. So I got to play this one too. Maybe I get a time. Let me run you through this.
Corruption is a vile disease that sucks and drains the health out of something good. Corruption in society is an evil moral infection that keeps community in a state of perpetual sickness. Corruption is a moral virus. It's so potent it leaves its host sick, lethargic, and unable to realize and accomplish all that a well person can. Where corruption thrives, poverty and not prosperity thrives. Wealth is grabbed into the greedy, grubby hands of those who get fat on the toil and labor of good people. Corruption benefits, only temporarily, those who participate in it. Everyone else is a victim of the theft, the deceit, the dishonesty, and the lies that corruption feeds on. You need to know that a corrupt person is stealing from you. Corruption is filthy work and despicable acts of treachery done under the table and behind closed doors. Corruption is a disgusting shame. Corruption keeps a nation back from true development and from progress. Wise investors steer clear of a corrupt environment. They would rather put their resources into a place where the playing field of opportunity is equal for all and not bent towards feeding the financial lust of corrupt, lying, cheating, thieving politicians and government officials. How many wonderful development projects have been lost because the investors didn't want to do business in a swamp of evil? When those great projects go to another nation or to some other place, we all lose. Believe me when I tell you that corruption steals from you, it steals from all of us. Corruption plunders the nation's wealth. Corrupt people compromise on truth, equity, and fairness, choosing instead to feed off the short-term benefits of crookedness, exploitation, and financial perversion. Corruption is not just a personal matter. It's a culture. It's a way of life, not just for individual people, but for companies, communities, governments, and nations. Corrupt nations, hiding behind large companies, will seek to invest in other weak nations in order to take over the assets of the nation that they've invested into. They will provide financial loans to a nation for the much needed infrastructure, and they will do it with assets that they provide. They will sign contracts by lining the pockets of rotten government officials who participate in this kind of corruption and are then held hostage by their own deceit and greed. Corruption is nothing less than a form of theft and national robbery. A corrupt person steals from everyone in society. We all lose when corruption is rampant. Those who participate in corruption have chosen evil over good, lies over truth, and personal gain over well-being of all. To be corrupt means to be rotten. When meat is corrupt, it's rotten, and it stinks. Rotten meat can't be eaten. When a person is corrupt, he's rotten and unfit for a place in the community. A corrupt person should be jailed in order to protect society from the vile deeds of the corrupt person. Government should be protecting us from the foul results of corruption instead of being the proponents and participants in corruption. When corruption is systemic, when it's a culture and a way of life, when corruption thrives, it destroys the health of the community and nation. Now let me tell you something. Defeating corruption is a very difficult thing. The love of money is the root of all evil, the Bible says. People who love money will do almost anything to get it. Those who choose to stand up against corruption, you need to know that we're going to be involved in a war. We will be threatened, vilified, intimidated, marginalized, and ridiculed. These kind of people who stand up against corruption will often feel alone, as if they are the problem instead of the solution. Corruption can only be defeated when enough people have had enough and decide to do something about it.
Yeah. So that is what corruption is. I got to play it often. Now let me clarify something. You know, when we talk about the accident, people are saying that the person is still alive. Well, there are two different accidents. The one involving the car and the motorcyclist, where the 17-year-old unlicensed driver, that person died. Now, this morning, I looked at Stabrook News, and there was another accident which occurred and said the person died, I think, Saturday night. Apparently, that person is still alive. I just saw something on social media to say that that person is still alive. Because when I looked for it later this morning, to make a note. Okay. Now, what is... Yeah, folks, we had some technical issue there shortly. I had to switch cameras. Yeah, so when I looked at it for this accident later in the morning, it wasn't there. It was no longer there in Stabrook News. So that is why I did not announce it, because I suspect then that something went wrong. So that person is still alive. But the one with the accident in the car, where the 17-year unlicensed driver was driving, that person has succumbed. Condolences to the family. Now, in terms of looking forward, Wednesday, the 26th, the day after tomorrow, I have court in the morning, as I indicated to you. I am still determined, or we are still determined, to have a program on Wednesday. However, I cannot be guaranteed that it will be held at the usual time. That is 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or 12 o'clock Guyana time. But we are going to have a program on Wednesday. So just stay tuned, and as soon as the time is known, I am going to post it. We're going to have it, if I can, if the matter is done early, because I'm supposed to just go there and plead to this charge. If it's a summary charge, or if it's an indictable charge, they just read it to me, and then I should be on my way. I also have another engagement which should finish during the morning. So stay tuned, students. Stay tuned for the timings on the program on Wednesday. Having said that, again, I encourage you all to stay safe. I encourage you all to also to make your contributions. Those of you who are who want to make a contribution, the numbers are there. And I thank all those who have contributed. And we will see you again on Wednesday. God's Prayer Life on Wednesday. But at this stage, we can't guarantee you what time classes will start. So stay tuned. I say I can find y'all, because the last time I told y'all it would be no class on Wednesday, gone. There's Wednesday gone. Wednesday the 19th. People are still calling me to find out who I'm to the class. Share the word. Let them know we're going to have a class on Wednesday, but we're not sure what time the class will start. Stay well, folks. Stay well. Continue to enjoy your holiday. Bye.